Los Angeles riots and civil unrest. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the burning dumpster in the street, the recent Los Angeles riots. If you thought LA was all about movie stars and green juices, think again. This year, the city has looked more like the set of a disaster movie than the backdrop for a rom-com. The riots started after a series of controversial immigration raids, and the city exploded. Literally and figuratively. I mean, nothing says California dreaming like helicopters overhead, sirens blaring, and a curfew that makes you feel like you're living in a dystopian young adult novel. Businesses are boarded up tighter than a celebrity's lips after bad Botox. And the only thing more common than smashed windows is the sound of people asking, "Is this covered by insurance?" The National Guard rolled in, and suddenly, LA's famous palm trees were competing for attention with armored vehicles and soldiers in riot gear. Even the Hollywood sign looked nervous. LA gridlock is legendary, but try navigating it when half the streets are blocked by protest lines and the other half are being used as escape routes by looters. Want to grab a taco at your favorite spot? Sorry, it's closed, along with every other business within a 5-mile radius. The riots have left parts of the city looking like a war zone, and the mood is tense. People are angry, scared, and exhausted. If you're into urban chaos and the thrill of not knowing whether you'll make it home before curfew, LA is the place to be. But for the rest of us, it's just another reason why living in California right now is seriously overrated. Crime and safety concerns. Let's talk about safety, or more accurately, the lack thereof. Crime in California is a mixed bag, but in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, it's become a daily concern. Property crime is rampant, with car break-ins so common that people just leave their windows down to save on repair costs. If you park your car on the street, you're basically inviting someone to rummage through your glove box. And with the recent riots, vandalism and looting have become all too common. It's like the Wild West, but with more Instagram influencers. Violent crime rates have also been on the rise in certain areas, and the police are stretched thin. The recent unrest has only made things worse, with officers busy managing protests and riots instead of responding to everyday calls. And let's not forget the homeless crisis, which has left many people feeling unsafe in their own neighborhoods. Tent cities line the sidewalks, and while most people are just trying to survive, there's an undeniable tension in the air. If you're lucky enough to live in a gated community, you might be insulated from some of these issues. But for the average Californian, safety is a constant concern. You lock your doors, install security cameras, and hope for the best. And if something does happen, good luck getting the police to respond in a timely manner. They're probably busy dealing with the latest protest or emergency. So, if you value peace of mind, you might want to think twice about calling California home. The homelessness crisis. The homelessness crisis in California is impossible to ignore. Walk through downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco, or even smaller cities, and you'll see tent encampments lining the sidewalks, underpasses, and parks. The state's efforts to address the issue often feel like too little, too late. Billions of dollars have been spent, but the problem keeps getting worse. The contrast between multi-million-dollar condos and people struggling to survive on the streets is stark, and it's only getting more pronounced as housing costs soar. For residents, the crisis is both heartbreaking and frustrating. Public spaces are often unusable, and the lack of resources for those in need is glaring. Mental health services are stretched thin, and shelters are often full. The state has tried everything from hotel vouchers to tiny home villages, but nothing seems to make a lasting difference. Meanwhile, residents are left to navigate sidewalks crowded with tents and belongings, and businesses struggle to stay open amid the chaos. The homelessness crisis isn't just an eyesore, it's a public health and safety issue. Sanitation is a major concern, with outbreaks of diseases like hepatitis A making headlines. And while most people experiencing homelessness are just trying to get by, there's an undeniable sense of unease in many neighborhoods. If you're looking for a state with real solutions, you might want to keep looking. In California, the homelessness crisis is just another reason why living here isn't all it's cracked up to be. The cost of living is astronomical. Let's talk about the price tag attached to the California dream. Spoiler alert, it's more like a nightmare. Buying a house here isn't just expensive. It's a full-blown financial horror story. The median home price in California is hovering around $800,000, which means unless you're a tech billionaire or just won the lottery, you're probably living with roommates well into your 40s. And by roommates, I mean at least 6 other people and possibly a raccoon or 2 who also can't afford the rent. Speaking of rent, don't even think about finding a 1-bedroom for less than $2,500 a month in any city you've actually heard of. If you do, congratulations, you've just discovered a portal to another dimension. But the fun doesn't stop there. Groceries cost more, gas prices are sky high, and even your utilities seem to have a California surcharge. Want to keep the lights on and the water running? That'll be an extra $100 a month, thanks. And the taxes. California has the highest state income tax in the country, topping out at a whopping 13.3%. So every time you get a raise, the state just takes a bigger slice. It's like having a roommate who doesn't do the dishes but always eats your food. Even the air feels more expensive. Maybe because it's so hard to find a place with clean air these days. And let's not forget the little things. Parking tickets that cost as much as a nice dinner, toll roads everywhere, and convenience fees for, well, everything. By the time you've paid for rent, food, gas, and taxes, you'll be lucky if you have enough left over for a cup of artisanal coffee. So, unless you're independently wealthy or enjoy living on ramen noodles, the cost of living in California is a major reason why it sucks to call this place home. Natural disasters. Pick your poison. California is basically Mother Nature's testing ground for natural disasters. It's like she looked at a map and thought, let's see how many catastrophes I can fit into one state. Earthquakes? Check. Wildfires? Double check. Droughts? Mudslides, and the occasional freak hailstorm? You bet. If you've ever wanted to live on the edge, literally, California is your dream come true. For the rest of us, it's a constant source of anxiety. Let's start with earthquakes. You never know when the next big one is going to hit. One minute you're sipping your overpriced cold brew. The next, you're diving under the nearest table, praying your building isn't the one that collapses. And don't think you get a break after that, because as soon as the ground stops shaking, it's wildfire season. Every summer, the skies turn orange. The air fills with smoke, and evacuation orders become as common as Starbucks locations. If you're lucky, your house just smells like a campfire for a few weeks. If you're not, well, hope you have good insurance. But wait, there's more. Droughts mean water restrictions, so forget about that lush green lawn. Mudslides follow every heavy rain, turning highways into rivers of mud and trapping people in their homes. And let's not forget the rolling blackouts, because the power grid can't keep up with everyone running their air conditioners during a heat wave. If you like living in a state where the weather keeps you on your toes, and sometimes on your roof, California is the place for you. For everyone else, it's just another reason to reconsider that cross-country move. Taxes, taxes, and more taxes. If you love paying taxes, California is your paradise. The state has the highest income tax rate in the country, topping out at 13.3%. But that's just the beginning. There's also a hefty sales tax, property taxes, gas taxes, and a whole slew of fees for everything from registering your car to buying a cup of coffee. It's like the state is playing a game to see how many different ways it can take your money. Despite the massive tax revenue, the state's budget always seems to be in crisis. Roads are full of potholes, schools are underfunded, and public services are stretched thin. Where does all the money go? That's the billion-dollar question. Meanwhile, residents are left footing the bill. Every time you get a raise, the state just takes a bigger slice. It's like having a roommate who never pays rent, but always eats your food. And don't forget about the hidden taxes, fees and surcharges that show up on your utility bills, phone bills, and just about everything else. By the time you've paid for rent, food, gas, and taxes, you'll be lucky if you have enough left over for a cup of artisanal coffee. So, unless you're independently wealthy or enjoy watching your paycheck disappear, the tax burden in California is a major reason why living here kind of sucks. Water shortages and drought. Water is the new gold in California, and everyone's fighting for their share. The state has been in a near constant state of drought for years, and water restrictions are just a way of life. Forget about washing your car or watering your lawn. Those are luxuries reserved for the rich or the reckless. Farmers are struggling to keep their crops alive. Cities are rationing water. And everyone's praying for rain that never seems to come. The drought has far-reaching effects. Wildfires are more intense and frequent. Reservoirs are at record lows, and the state's famous agriculture industry is suffering. Almonds, avocados, wine. If it grows in California, it's feeling the pinch, and so are residents. Water bills are sky high, and there's constant talk of even stricter restrictions. Want to fill up your pool? Good luck. Even taking a long shower feels like an act of rebellion. The state has tried everything from desalination plants to water recycling programs, but nothing seems to solve the problem. Climate change is making things worse, and experts warn that the drought could last for decades. So, if you're dreaming of a lush green backyard or a carefree day at the pool, think again. In California, every drop counts, and that's just another reason why living here isn't as glamorous as it seems. Click the like button, subscribe, and stay awesome.